Good afternoon, YouTube. Good afternoon. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Angelica with In God's Timing, coming to do this video and share some different things with you all this morning. You have to bear with me. As we know, the seasons are changing, and some of us do have allergies. Okay, now you got to give that disclaimer. Okay, so the pollen got me a little throat on top of being stretched. And working hard on all levels. So anywho, I'm going to talk about this past weekend. I had my first annual Women's Worth series, and I'm going to share some different things that we talked about because sharing is caring, for one. And it's a lot of areas that I used to think before that I struggled in, or maybe it was just me, dealing with it. Like, is it anybody else that has some of these same issues or, struggles in life, or just, all as across the board. So God allowed for even me just with the building of In God's Timing from the ground up, and even just him building and working on me, that you are not the only one that goes through stuff. Many times we see people that are so perfected and they don't show you their journey along the way. Okay, they have that facade, and because of it, everything how God uses me, and my characteristics, my personality, my journey and my walk, first and foremost with the Most High, but just even in building, that we're not perfect. I draw imperfect people. Okay, we steadily look for perfection in so many different ways, forgetting that we're still human, and it's a process, and learning to trust the process. So some of the key things that we talked about, and I'm going to talk about it in a confidential, generalized way, okay, out of respect for them, and me too, even myself. I share a lot, but then some things you have to be discreet on. But as far as the generalization, it's a lot of things that we deal with on different levels, and it just depends on the person. And our focus was, for this is what I put for today, was breaking through layers. So what came to my mind also is, even in my journey and how God has been dealing with me, being so strong to see and understand that it's not going to come easy. Okay? You're going to learn. So sometimes our forward momentum, it helps and impacts somebody else. So we can't change anyone. But as we begin to change and work on ourselves, somebody's always watching. It helps bring about an impact, where it's either in a negative way or a positive way. So I had to learn, even from just being so strong and different things, being more vulnerable, being more sensitive, but having a balance, knowing when to go. Used to somebody giving us everything we want like a child, telling you what you want to hear. We live in a generation and a society that has been going on for time after the time, but as far as everybody has to be perfect. If you don't do it this way, you're a failure. If you don't do it this way, so many stereotypes, so many stereotypical ways we're supposed to move in. So what about when you have people that don't look that way? Everything didn't come that way. I used to think that, well, I've messed up so much, I've had to work on my kids. And later on, the Lord began to deal with me in different ways, as far as, why would you say that? Who told you that? And I'm putting this in my own words. That as long as you have life, as long as you have air in your body and breathing, I don't care how old you are, as my pastor say, rebuke your age, you still have the opportunity to change, to grow, to mature, not only for yourself, but for your family, for your children, for your generation. Those desires that you have according to God's will, everything is for you, okay? Still possible, but it's conditional. So when I thought about the breaking down of layers, and even with just even, how sometimes you may get a car. I'm using this as an example. And it's like when you get that car, you see everybody with that same car, like they only made one. But it's like, I don't know, you zoom into seeing that stepping out in God's time, and just recently, certain things that he's been pushing me to do, right? It's like, Lord, I see all these people doing similar things, okay? But not even just that. Who says that one person is the only person that's been designated to do something? because we are custom made, because we are different and we're peculiar as believers and stepping out in our purpose and our assignment as a whole, even just realistic every day. You got more than one hairstylist. You got more than one barber. I'm a little country, y'all. You have more than one teacher. You have people in different areas that may do the same things, but can't nobody do it like them. It's something about that person and that individual that is doing something in a way that is different. You know, it's certain people gravitate towards you. You know, I can go to any hairstylist, you know, but it's something about their personality. It's inviting, right? So it's big to have different folk on different stuff. Okay, as far as who you use, who you go to, who you're drawn, right? So when he dealt with me about that, he was like, stop worrying about everybody else. Stop worrying about everybody else and what they're doing. Because I'm like, Lord, you got me out here at the same time doing the same stuff, but it's still different. So still keep walking in your purpose, your journey, you know, and not discrediting anybody else's walk or journey, even if it does look similar. It's still different. It's not by coincidence how he pushes us out. It's for a reason, because we all draw different dynamics. Okay. We're not all called to the same people, and everyone is not called to us. So when I even just noticed that it's Women's History Month, that's fine and dandy. Because I mentioned on this platform and what I do, we're transparent. I'm real. I'm a work in progress. So like I say, as I'm building, as I'm growing, as I'm maturing, you know, people are being able to see the transparency of my growth. But first and foremost, I am able to see the transparency of my growth. Because I mentioned before, I want to be effective in every area of my life. Every area. This as a mother, career. And that's the biggest thing. It's hard to find balance. And I found balance in keeping God first. So many things that I was doing, I was working out of my flesh and what Angelica wanted. So until I began to seek him in humility, knowing that he already knows that I'm not perfect, that I make mistakes and have flaws, that it's areas that I have improvement on. Why not step out? What do I have to lose? Sometimes when you hit rock bottom, I don't have nowhere else to go but to the top. You know, when you suffered and went through stuff and hardships and all those different things, what is go time. So like I was saying, being able to see different perspectives, everyday people, the people that I'm drawn to or that are drawn to me. They're ordinary people, everyday people, right? Not what we can identify with on the broader scale that's illusional, okay? The facade, the real life aspect of what we deal with. So what came to me before I even jump into some of the key things we talked about, and from the women's history aspect of it, I'm gonna come my way real because that's a part of it. We can give accolades and all these different areas that everybody work on or where they've succeeded. But what about your journey before you made it to where you're going? But we don't talk about the journey along the way because a lot of times so many things factor into your journey to get to what people say or what this generation or society says as success. Success is packaged in so many different things, okay? So many different areas. So success is not just money, okay? Even along my journey and my process, people seeing, come on, look, I'm not gonna look. Some certain things, technology, I don't know how to do yet, certain things, but it's okay. That's a part of walking on water. That's a part of that transparency part. Not only for the individual, but for people to show that it's a process. It doesn't just happen overnight. So when we end up having to wear different hats, look, I don't have an assistant. I'm having to learn to balance my time. Every area that he's working on me, it's not only me, but it's for the business. Every aspect of my life, it incorporates in God's time. So let me jump on into it. So what came to me was with it being springtime. Yesterday was the first day of spring. That's when I had my first event. Small and intimate. I like small groups. Because like I said, the Lord be sending me out, and I'm like, this is why I tell people, don't say what you don't want to do. I didn't care to do certain things, even just women. You know, we got a lot of issues that we got to work on. And that was one of the biggest things we talked about. So before I even get to that, with it being spring, what came to me as far as, you got flowers getting ready to bloom, seeds that people have sown throughout the year, they're beginning to manifest and grow. They're beginning to see their harvest, okay, on different levels. So whenever you begin with the growing process, when you're thinking about whether it be crop, flowers, you have a lot of women that, do gardening. I'm learning to expand my horizon, expand what I want to do, learning to learn from other people, and just as well as they're learning from me, different perspectives. That comes from growth. Okay. So part of the gardening, or, just even where it's, I'm going to say gardening. Okay. You prepare the soil, right? So a part of preparing the soil before you plant your seeds, you have to till the ground, till the soil. And a part of that is, you have to agitate it. So we'll see some women out there, they got their hoe, even men too. Don't play with it. Men be out there in the garden too. I've seen men out in their yards working. So, they know they have to do certain things to prepare. Everybody doesn't have a machine. They're working by hand. So you have some people, they got their hoe ready and they're digging up and, as the definition said, agitating and drilling and, overturning the soil. That's a part of the process for getting ready to plant, because we have a lot of layers, okay, as far as individuals that we're trying to break through. A lot of dysfunction, a lot of hurt, a lot of pain, things because of our own fault, but then generationally, things from society, jobs, all these different areas that we're being attacked by, to keep us from growing and maturing, right? When you get ready to plant or you get ready to prepare for your process, right? A part of that is you had to break up some of those layers to soften the soil. Because who wants to plant on rough ground? If I go down outside and just start planting, I may not, it's a possibility something will grow, it's a possibility it won't. But it's a process that the soil has to go through, right? You turn and you agitate the soil, digging up with your hoe. And, number 3, it needs water, it needs sunlight, allowing the process to unfold. It takes time. So as we know, not rushing the process. It's easier said than done. We say what we should do, all these other things, but this is why it's so important to be able to see someone else's journey sometimes, right? But because we come from such a selfish generation, we don't share how we went along our process or our journey to help the next generation, to help people around you, to help your children, to help those at your church or every aspect of your life, right? If you not learn from each other, but still respecting the different levels, okay? So number 4, we watch, we learn, and we grow. So we begin our process as far as planting our seeds, because this, not going to say this summer, in the near future, since the seasons are changing, and just even from my intimate event yesterday, I picked up stuff, even though I was the host and Angelica, in God's timing, I've learned to listen and learn from other people. Angelica in God's time is all a part of 2. It's family oriented, men, women, and children, right? So we all have, even with layers, areas that we need to work on collectively and individually. We have different perspectives that we can see from that. It's this individual may say something that I may need to hear, that I can take a mental note that may work for me. Everything somebody else uses, it doesn't always work for everybody, but it's still ways that you can take mental notes that it's a possibility that, let me work on this. Let me try this, okay? That's how we learn. I've learned that we're not going, nobody's going to do it for us. That's one of the biggest lessons God has been teaching me. When you put forth the effort and you begin to try and put him first, he begins to make the divine connections. He begins to put things together. He begins to make everything that once didn't make sense, let it make sense. So one of my biggest things that I've been working on is execution, finishing what I started. I've started a lot of things and didn't finish, right? Um, just trying to make it. Like I said, when you don't have a blueprint and everybody's just trying to live, trying to breathe, trying to just find a way out of no way, trying based on what you will learn, what was brought up in our culture, different areas of our life that we're just trying to figure it out, with not having just the proper models. You figuring it out. You learning as you go. So many people that I've even met along my journey, from different races, different cultures, different backgrounds. I tell people, don't discredit your story and your journey, because just what may have worked for somebody else, and they say, oh, so that's why they say, first of all, don't judge a book by its cover. But until you can walk through my shoes, capacity different. So even understanding that you have times where you will have people that will, we have that saying was, with the race. He who endures to the end shall be saved. The race is not given to the swift or to the strong, but he who endures, right? So we've been in a time frame where most of the time we running to get to wherever we're trying to go. And half time it's like, where we going? we trying to figure out how to function, how to move, where we going. And we go by what we were told, what we're taught. Some things, yes, that we need that are applicable. Then there's some things they don't factor in. Failure, mistakes, wrong turn, all that other stuff. Look, different things that can affect you. So along that journey, many times we are racing. We're racing with time. We're racing against your competitor, everybody else, the world, family, friends, associates. I'm not competing with nobody. That's a part of the people that we talk about. It's no competition. We're not competing. So we're going along this journey. We are in a race to finish. Slow and steady wins the race. Because you can be taking off. Many of us have taken off strong, even people that run track. But if you don't keep a steady pace in life through being consistent, paying attention, learning and growing along the way, getting help, okay, that you will fall, you will fail, and you will lose. And you will lose. So that's why I say now my journey, right? That's a common thing that I've been hearing as we go along our journey. It's things that I can learn from others and things that people can learn from me. But knowing how to filter out certain things that are toxic, okay, or that just may not work for me. It's not necessarily bad. It just doesn't work for me. So as I mentioned, I want to be effective in everything I do. I've been like that from work to every area. I want to be effective. I want to have a positive impact, because all of us have had negative impacts on people and positive. Because we have a generation that's so self-absorbed. Nobody does anything wrong. Everybody's perfect inside and out. That's not realistic. I can't identify with that. People that I talk to and I really have real conversations, we can't identify with that. Those are the type of people, or even just things that it leave a bad taste in your mouth because you're so perfect and you putting on the side. I'm allergic. Just as the pollen is coming out and different things, I'm allergic to being fake. That's just, it's not, it affects my bones. It just, my blood, I can't, we tolerate some things, but that's a part of my character. I've been like this my whole life. We're learning how to communicate, how to talk to each other. Like I said, a lot of things that we missed, that we didn't adapt, that we weren't taught, and many in this generation, and even our parents from the previous generation, things that we were deprived of, different deficits, areas that we lacked in. We've been learning as we go, because we didn't get basic nutrients. Come on, even with the soil, with the water and the sunlight, the basic necessities that we needed to be able to grow, to flourish, to be successful. We missed it. A lot of things that we didn't have, or we didn't know how to gain access to. So not only learning how to communicate, with my children or people that I meet, different areas or whatever, learning how to exhibit fruitful behaviors, right? Being effective, like I said, in every aspect of your life, whether it's on your job, family, relationships. So everything is still bundled up in one. But sometimes we'll focus on one area, which, yes, we have to do things, in a realistic manner. But how can you focus on helping your children or being of an inspiration to other women or even uplifting men if you haven't dealt with your layers? If you haven't dealt with those underlying issues that you have that are beyond the surface of your outer appearance, because it's going to be exposed at some point, whether you're in a relationship, parenting, life will show you. Life is the realest teacher. Experience is the realest teacher that you can have. Basic common sense, basic things that we talked about yesterday was we put on this, this strength as far as women. Not because we want to. We've had to be so strong in so many different areas. And this one, at this particular event, everyone was Black, right? Different cultures. I had African American, I had Nigerian, learning to, God has blessed me to be well-rounded and work in diversity. Not the way I thought it was gonna come, but he did. So I have different people that are drawn to me that I'm working with. We're building, learning to use, work with what you have, using what you got, everything that makes you you, your gifts, talents, and abilities, your personality, your morals, what you stand for, what you believe, and standing on that strong. Not compromising or wanting to be like everybody else, daring to be different. This is what I tell my girls. Dare to be different. Don't be like everybody else. So you can tell folks stuff, but because and how I learn and comprehend, I'm a hands-on person. I'm a visual learner, right? I like to see it. So yes, we start out by doing things like this, videos and stuff like that from the business aspect or whatever you're doing, your journey, because it is good to see examples, whatever, different techniques or whatever it is, the internet is broad. But then too, I like the hands-on part, getting to know people. Okay. I like working with people in small groups. He's pushing me on the bigger stuff. It's those little things that we take for granted. Learning that every aspect of your life, you can apply it in different ways. So things that I've learned and acquired through, whether it was my failures, my strengths, my weaknesses, the different areas I work, serving, waitressing, healthcare, using all of those different things and applying it to my life in different ways. And even the new things that are coming as far as the business, getting educated, gaining information and wisdom. Come on, knowledge. It's continuous. When you have your job, most time you have continuing education. When they give you deadlines and set up stuff, you got to perform. You got to be there or you're going to miss it. So it's the same thing in our daily real life journey. It's continuous growth. It's continuous building. Areas that you need to see, okay, this didn't work, let me work on this. Okay, I want to see growth in this area. I want to see growth in yourself. It's not always about what everybody else sees. That's going to happen. But when you begin to see yourself throughout your process, it does something for you. And it's even sometimes those little things. So when you talk about a plant going through with the garden and it being springtime, when it goes through that process and you plant your seeds and you water it and you allowing sunlight and allowing time, come on, to take place in the process of the growing, it's a different feeling. Because a lot of times we'll frustrate the growing process. So it's something different about dealing with natural, real life people. Okay. Yes, first and foremost, God is my help, He is strength. Okay. He's my number one. But it's nothing like having real life people that you can identify with, that you can relate to, that speak the language, that understand, look, I'm tired. Sometimes I don't feel like it. I don't want to deal with, some people say their husband, their kids, the job, You know, we certain different races and cultures, men, women, we have different struggles. As I mentioned, some stuff collectively and some stuff individually. It just depends on what factored into your life. Okay, that makes that difference. So one of the things that we talked about, you know, a few of the things we talked about was our strengths and our weaknesses. We all have strengths and weaknesses, but let the world tell it, and everything you see, everybody perfect. And I'm just like, I can't identify with that. Like, I would be at a point in my life before God pushed me out to even just doing, look, this part, as far as the videos and the community outreach and building and all this other stuff. I had my moments with like, don't nobody go through nothing. Y'all, things are none of effect to you. You know, whether we talk about religion, you know, your beliefs, you know, family, children, everything, everybody perfect. I couldn't identify with that. So then when God began to deal with me and use me throughout my journey, I started to meet people. Before I even started in God's time, from my jobs, people that I became cool with, every aspect of my life, different races, different cultures, well-rounded and diverse, as far as their behaviors, the behaviors they exhibited, their struggles, different things that we connected with, knowing that it wasn't just me. Where I thought, of course, you know, that's sometimes how we think, like, is it just me going through this? Nobody else has this going on, or nobody else sees this? So we begin to talk about our strengths and our weaknesses. And many of us, we had our weaknesses overpower our strengths. But when I realized and I was hearing everybody talking, the strengths that we had really were more powerful than we actually recognized. To us, we felt like maybe they were, they're not really nothing and they're a little off or they're different. But each person was able to intellectualize in their own way what it meant to them. And then we realized we actually had a lot of different things in common. So a part of even my journey and me moving and growing, I like everybody's on different levels. You have to be ready to grow, ready to receive. Like I said, you get to a point where many of us, you get tired of the same cycles and patterns, same thing. So it's nothing like having like-minded, light faith people around you that can help encourage. So where they say, you stepping out and you helping me, I'm like, y'all helping me. You motivating me. That speaks volumes, that it can be reciprocated. That regardless if people don't judge you either way, they're gonna talk about you. But I'm at a place where I have such substance. Okay. And that came from throughout my own process and journey, where I know who I am in my own worth, who God has called me to be in my journey and building as a mother, every area. And I'm transparent enough to say that I know I'm growing, I'm maturing. But at the same time, throughout my journey and process, God is building me up. So I talk about how he will work through you, work on you, work through you, through the process. That's the transparency of in God's timing, watching the growth. It's not when Angelica wants to, your seeds that you sow, they don't sprout up when you want them to. It takes time and it's a process. We'll rush it and you end up having flowers. I'm gonna let my kids do this now. We're gonna plant, we're getting ready to plant some stuff and let them all have their own. And we're gonna see, right? We're gonna all go through the process together. So even though people may go through your journeys with you throughout life or be around different seasons, we still have our own processes that we have to go through. So I've been like one thing we talked about too was triggers. What triggers you? Knowing your triggers, areas that you need to work on, whether it be your kids, too much noise as far as chaos and confusion, not being able to execute certain things, finishing where you started. We all have different triggers that will be set off. So I incorporate real life experiences, and then also I incorporate it's faith-based business. So I give different perspectives. So for me, I know a part of triggers from the spiritual side is the enemy will send stuff to attack you, to throw you off course, to, get you out of focus. Okay. So at the same time, learning what hits your buttons. So you, when it comes around, you recognize it, but at the same time, knowing how to maneuver. Easier said than done. That's why I say we have to show we ain't perfect, baby. Because the wrong trigger pop off, you know, he know how to get under our skin, whether it's the kids, a relationship, your job. This is why it's so important to have balance. And these different things are stretching us. That's the growing process, the stretching. So as I'm walking within my purpose, within is inside of my purpose, going along my journey, inviting people in to see the transparency of Angelica and the building of In God's Time, the building of what God is doing through me. It's a package deal, right? It's a lot bottled up. I ain't gonna say bottled up, packaged inside of it. So we talk about knowing what your challenges are. All of us had different challenges. Okay, it was women that were married, kids, no kids. As I said, different cultures. We all have our different challenges. But some of the things that we were common that we talked about was with women, we always tearing each other down. You know, it's like you gotta, I don't know what that thing, look, it's so deep and compact and so many different things. There's layers to that. Where you have, as far as Black women, we always attacking or competing with each other, unconsciously or consciously, purposely, whatever. Some folks, you walk around like you think you better. You know, like can't give a compliment versus saying she thinks she all that. Compliment her hair. I like this, I like that. Those are ways that God dealt with me in my journey, even though I didn't want to. You know, say, hey girl, I like your hair. I like your lashes. Complimenting somebody because we are such a seeking of affirmation in our journey. Who doesn't want to be recognized? Even though some of us, we ain't some folk, we in our own little zone, we just trying to keep it moving. But that's what a lot of women have been looking for: affirmation, acceptance. You know, knowing that I'm worthy, knowing that you see me. So then we overcompensate in those areas that we have deficits or we have issues. We end up emphasizing those areas because we want people to recognize and see us. It's levels to this. That's all we see from across the board. So if I don't have this, I'm not perfect enough. You ain't gonna never be perfect. I don't care what you do. It's learning to love you and know your own worth. So as I mentioned, the balance, you know, knowing how to balance everything. Some people mention, you know, having a calendar, you know, setting alarm clocks, setting schedules, you know, having standards. You know, it's different things that we need to incorporate in our growing process. So it's important to hear from another individual, natural person that may have experienced certain things, right? Because if you experience hardships or if this person has kids and I don't, I can take mental notes. Not saying that it's going to be like that when they have kids or somebody that's married talking to somebody unmarried. It's certain mental notes that we can take to prepare in our preparation phase. And like I said, eat the bones and spit it out. Take what works for you. Take those mental notes, knowing that you still got areas that you need to work on. We can learn from each other. Learning how to manage our stress. So at the end of the day, and this is one of the big things we talk about as far as the different Black young ladies I was talking to, different ages, diverse ages. Everybody was 18 and older though. I'm gonna say probably 25 and older. And that was one of the things too, that how can we be effective, like I said, for our children, on our job, and every other area if we don't work on ourselves. So a part of the stress was, and the frustration was, it's like, is everything made harder for us? Is it just us? You know, we were like, is it, you know, do you feel like you got strongholds or you know, struggling just to get it, to make it? We see some Black individuals, whether they're African American, Nigerian, Haitian, whatever. We see different people making it, but as a collective, it's like we all got the same struggle. So certain things that we go through and we encounter that it hits differently. We understand, we can identify. But then it may be somebody else, another race, another culture, they don't get it. Because unless you're that color, that race, and you understand the struggle, the grind, or you can relate to certain things, you wouldn't even understand the conversation, some of the conversations we have. But this is why it's important to have these conversations where we can respect our differences, our similarities, but knowing that it is a difference. The hurt, the pain, everything across the board. The very things that we ignore, saying that, oh, we all got the same opportunities. We all got no, it's levels to it. It is different for each individual, especially when you group stuff in race, in culture. It is different. But because I'm a game changer and people that I'm connected to are game changers and we're ready to build, we're at a place where we can see beyond race, color, and all those other different things. And we can start to grow, but still respect and honor each other. This is why I tell folks, be careful what you say, because you don't know somebody else's struggle, what they went through. Because if the shoe was on the other foot, even culturally, even with race, you may not even be able to handle it. You got people fake around here, walking around doing all this crazy stuff and to put on a black face because you feel like, you can get away with that. Then we find out it's a whole mask and it was a different person up under there. When you will use what you can for your benefit, that's destructive for others. So anywho, stress management, learning to deal with your stress. And like I said, it makes it more easier, not as hard or challenging when you know it's other people going through too. It's a lot of negativity. When you have negativity, you got your own people. We do that. When I'm talking about the women, we tear each other down. We judging each other. We hating. But then too, you got other races that hate us. That it's too much. Too much. Instead of complimenting or uplifting each other, look, we unconsciously were taught a lot of these things. So we're unlearning. We're beginning to learn to unlearn certain things. You have a choice. So the people that I'm connected with, or that that's working with me, or even that I meet that's new, we're like-minded, like faith, and some of them, are seeking, wanting more. We tired of dealing with somebody always got to fight. Like, come on. Nobody wants to compete with you. If you want to walk around with, an over excessive big behind, you want to walk around, I got things to do. Everybody's choice, though. Don't take it personal. And you want to walk around with a whole beat face. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not for everybody. So this stereotypical Barbie that they put in front of everybody for different cultures and different races, for everybody. You got the stereotypical person, man, male and female, and they got the ones for the children, and it's straight chaos. That doesn't work for everybody. We're teaching our children, and we're teaching through the forward momentum and growing with each other, that you can be you, okay, and still be accepted, still be respected, still be loved, with all your flaws, with all your imperfections, seeing beyond what people look at on the outer appearance, but still holding standards.